Half a day, everybody. I'm Jason Salas, joined by a very dear friend, a learned expert from the Guam Behavioral Health and Wellness Center, Dr. KristiAnna Whitman. September is Suicide Prevention Awareness Month, and we here at KUAM are going to do everything we can, not just in this month, but as we do at the KUAM Care Force throughout the year, to make sure that our fellow Guamanians know as much as we can about suicides, Doc, the contributing factors to it, and most importantly, how we can really get that number down, because it is such a big problem here.
Absolutely. Unfortunately, on Guam, too many of our brothers and sisters are dying by suicide, and we do know that while we can't necessarily save everyone, we can prevent suicides and at least get our community trained and aware of some of the challenges that people are experiencing with regards to the mental health issues that they might be experiencing, and then also what they can do or what we can all do to help prevent suicide on Guam.
And in the many times that I've interviewed you over the years, this among other topics, you always say, you folks at GBWIC always take, a very structured approach where you say, we take a look at the data, what do the stats say and everything, and then we take, we formulate a framework that we can deal with this, and then we actually put that into action.
Absolutely. Data-driven programming is essential to everything that we do. We want to ensure that we're collecting data that informs our decision-making processes and programs so that we're really meeting the best efforts of our community. So what data tells us, I guess if we're going to go into that, is that unfortunately suicide is a problem. We do, locally, we do have almost double the numbers of suicides that happen on Guam as compared to our mainland brothers and sisters, right?
Which is astonishing.
It's really unfortunate, especially knowing that culturally we're a community that takes care of each other, right? And so the message...
But that being the case, if I may, is there like a sort of like pressure that comes along with that, or pressure to perform or to live up to some standard, and people just feel like so much weight on their shoulders because of that?
Yeah, I mean, I would think so. Unfortunately, we don't have as much qualitative information about the reasons people are dying by suicide, which is something we're working on at GBWIC with regards to research and ensuring that we're getting as much data as we can about what's going on. But it does make some sense, right? Like, we take care of each other, but also this sense of needing to take care of our families. We saw during COVID kind of a heightened number of suicides, and some of that may be due to financial issues, relational issues, this pressure, this need to take care, right, and to reciprocate, and which is a beautiful part of our community and our culture, but also a challenging part, right? And then there's also this stigma of needing or not wanting to talk about some of the challenges we're experiencing and having to hold that in. And so part of what we're doing this month and every month, right, is, to break that stigma. Part of the theme this year, not just for Guam, but for the world, for World Suicide Prevention Day, is to change the narrative and to start the conversation about suicide prevention, but also suicide in general, right? So we want people to be informed enough and to feel confident and comfortable enough to be able to ask people how they're feeling and actually be prepared for that response, right? And what they're doing or what
and
they
last
can
time
do.
I had you here, we were talking about men's mental health and and the mental health of Olympians when we talked about it, and you were saying that part of that is encouraging people, specifically men, to emote. And I believe the last time I talked to you, you also said that that the rate of the gender split between males and females that either contemplate suicide or
Actually do
it, it skews significantly more male. Right?
Absolutely, significantly more male. And so we are trying to bring that awareness to the forefront. We actually do have, Guam Behavioral Health has a YouTube channel where, and on our social media, so at GBWIC Guam, and then Guam Behavioral Health is our YouTube channel, right? And so we actually have a full-length video that just came out over the weekend where we have a local Guam Army National Guard guardsman who got trained in using some interventions and talks about that experience and how that kind of helped him save someone from dying by suicide. So it was a really nice account of him experiencing and learning learning the tips, for what to do when someone needs additional assistance.
And being a community leader, I would assume that, starting those conversations, fostering those conversations in safe spaces, as they say these days, is very, very key, because there's a lot of people these days that would say, okay, well, I'm trying to emote, but I'm going to self-diagnose. I'm going to
look up WebMD.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Right. Yes, we don't want you to feel like you're alone in this.
Right.
So
empathy is very, very helpful.
It is. And so oftentimes, we try to look up, and figure out what to do on our own, which is great. We're very resourceful people, right? And we have a lot of information at our fingertips, but a lot of people, we want to be there for each other. So whether it's by calling our hotline, which is 988, or calling or, talking to a friend, and hopefully that friend is able to learn about some of our training and our offerings, to be able to have that conversation and direct them to services. We want people to feel like they're not alone in the community when they are having or experiencing some challenges.
And that's what we're going to be working with your agency. Like I said, all month long. It is September now, like in case you haven't checked the calendar, everybody. And you know, making sure that that number 988 because is aware and people are putting it to good use, because everybody knows here on Guam, like you said, our sense of community is, you know, you've got friends, family, classmates, people you go to church with, but then there are also professional, formal resources that you can avail of 24 hours a day.
Right. And 988 can be reached via text message, it can be reached by phone, or even via chat. So, and those are all work 24/7, and these individuals who answer the phone are trained in different protocols, and so they're definitely empathetic, and they know what to do and what resources to direct you to. And then if I could share a couple of our things that are happening this month. So we are kicking off with a proclamation signing as usual. I'm not sure when this is going to be aired, but it's on September 6th. September 10 is actually World.
You call me 20 minutes before. I'll meet you down there. I'm good. I'm good to go.
Yes, thank you. So September 6th is their official kickoff. But September 10 is a suicide awareness memorial that we're doing in conjunction with Corazon y Sengsong, which is formerly, maybe better known as Island Girl Power. So World Suicide Prevention Day happens every year on September 10. This is a worldwide annual thing. In the past, because of COVID and Typhoon Mawar and everything else, we haven't been able to have an in-person memorial. So this year we're able to kind of do something. Corazon y Sengsong invited us to their space, so we're going to be tying ribbons on their fence line, just in memorial for the people who've died by suicide and also for the survivors. So sort of a casual community awareness event, but everyone in the community is welcome to come out and get some resources about and come to the village of Dedido and see what Island Girl Power is up to also.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's a wonderful facility and wonderful information being shared out there.
And it's been a while. So I actually went to the site not too long ago, and we visited, and they have some community gardens there. Like, they've really. It's
very colorful.
Beautiful. Yeah, it's a beautiful space right in the heart of Dedido. So if you have nothing to do, September 10, 4 p.m. So just at sunset, we're going to be getting together and gathering and just remembering people who have died and their survivors, right? People who've loved them. Also, we have training opportunities throughout the month. So if you are interested in getting trained, please, I do direct you to email us at staff@peaceguam.org. That's going to be the best way to avail of training opportunities, because there are different things that we do. We have some in-person kind of longer format trainings, and then we also have online trainings. So there's
because I'm an advertising major, right? But I would like to know how to listen better, how to how to look for certain signals if someone, and then where I would be able to redirect that person to.
Absolutely. So we really like to, and this is the reason we ask people to kind of reach out to us first, because we like to figure out where you are also as an individual. Not everyone's ready for 2 full days of training, right, in intervention, but we do have what's called kind of a community helper training. It's called START. It's an online interactive training, which is about an hour long, and you can do it self-paced, and it shares with you some tips to look out for, some of the signs, when someone is just not acting like themselves, is kind of maybe perhaps looking disheveled, and they were always put together, or maybe now seems to be super put together, and before in the past kind of was very lost or felt a little helpless, but now seems to have it all figured out. Those are the things.
So they're actually reaching for attention, or it's kind of like a silent cry.
We call them invitations, right? Is what is another term for that.
So kind of like look for extremities, maybe.
Absolutely, absolutely. So some of those things it walks you through. This online training was the newest training that's done. So the scenarios are very, very current. So there's like a texting scenario, and that's how a lot of our young people, especially, are reaching out to each other. You're sitting there, you're like, how are you doing? And then you just see the dots, right? And you're like, okay, is that person responding? Do I need to call them? Like, what do I do, right? So it kind of walks you through these different scenarios and then shows you how to ask for resources. That's kind of like our basic community helper training that you can avail of, and it's completely free, and you can do it on your own time. But some people want, more interaction, right? And so more of a classroom experience. So we do offer Safe Talk, which is a 4-hour training, which is done in person, classroom style. So there's a little bit more interaction, but still very safe, very classroom-like. Some people just like to be kind of like fed the information and then you go in and do it.
And me, you said if does anybody have any questions? I'm like,
exactly,
100 times.
But we have a bunch of trainers for Safe Talk, and we're offering a couple of those trainings this month for free also. And then our most long, I guess our greatest, our most, I want to say our most intense training, which is actually 2 full days, 8 to 5. It's really 14 hours of training, but it really takes you from accepting the invitations, noticing when someone is having these challenges and experiencing, and how to ask the question, like, are you thinking about suicide, or are you thinking about killing yourself? And then what to do, like actually putting together a safety plan with that person and getting them to help.
That's even a really heavy question just
oh
to
my
articulate.
Gosh, it absolutely is. So in Safe Talk and in Start, you kind of walk through and practice that, because that's something that we don't say that to each other, right? Every day we're not asking, like going around looking for, and a lot of times we don't want to know the answer because we're not sure what to do with that information.
I mean, if you're like my age
Yeah.
and you even uttered like that question, you get like the old people like
Absolutely.
go upside
What are
your
you
head.
talking about?
Yeah.
Right.
That's incredibly
Yeah,
disrespectful. Don't even bring that up.
Exactly.
But now we have learned that at least to have that conversation is a small step in the right direction, right?
Absolutely. And we want our young people, we want everybody to feel like if they ask you that, if I ask you that the question, you're going to be able to respond accordingly, like, and truthfully, because you trust that I'm ready to give you the answer. A lot of times we hesitate and we don't say what we really feel because we don't want to burden the other person with that. With that information, right? But if you come to me, or if you come with that sense of genuineness, that knowledge, that confidence, like, hey, Jason, I really want to help you. I'm here for you. Are you thinking about killing yourself today? Like, what's going on? Then you're more than likely going to actually respond to me truthfully, because you know that I can handle that, right?
Because what I can see right now,
Yeah.
sitting next to you,
Yeah.
is you're conveying compassion,
Absolutely,
and empathy.
yeah. And that's what we want people to feel.
As opposed to
confident
just
about.
lecturing me and talking down to me. Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
I get it.
So, and that's not an easy conversation. We get that,
Yeah.
right? And so September, like every other month that we want to teach people how to have these conversations. And again, it's not necessarily natural. So we need to practice it, And
Do you have to be any
practicing it.
particular age, or
Yeah.
like level of training already going into that? Because students would
Yes,
greatly
absolutely.
be able
So
to avail.
assist, we do ask for people 18 and up for
Okay.
that level of training. Safe Talk, I believe 15 and up. So we've done that among high schools. We've actually trained whole classrooms before, and then Start, I think it's a little bit younger, but with parents' permission, obviously. All of them with parents' permission, but aside, unless you're an 18. But we do offer also like in classroom discussions. We've done workshops for younger youth just to start talking about some of these things. Even if it's just talking about mental health and feelings, what to do for positive mental health and positive well-being, right? So again, it's just having that conversation, starting that conversation, figuring out, like, as a parent, as a teacher, as a coach, as a community member, what can I do? Where can I go?
As a member of clergy, maybe too?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes, very much so. So we've done a lot of things with clergy also, and in the churches. We try to, and if anyone is looking for assistance in that forefront, please contact us, because we're always happy to help the community.
I would assume that you do a lot of work like with people of faith, because then they would take like a religious-based approach to kind of like addressing that.
Yeah, and we do actually have a training that's faith-based also. That we don't. It's an online-based training, but it's through the same developers of our Assist and Safe Talk and Start, which is kind of the cadre of training that we offer.
Okay. Now, if we could, Doc, maybe just we've talked about from the third person saying I know what signs to kind of generally look for. There is the training available. We know about 988. We know the wonderful work that you guys over at Jibwick do. How about for the individual? Like, if somebody's watching this right now and said, I've felt certain ways at certain times, or if someone's willing to self-assess, I can see like I've been on kind of like a downward trend. What can the individual kind of like look for?
Yeah. So personally, we want you to feel like you're not alone, right? That's the first thing we want. We really want you to feel like you're not alone. And that's really difficult to convey when you're just feeling so alone and isolated, right? I can say all these things about, like, we don't want you to feel alone, but like if you're experiencing that, then you feel so alone, right? But at least if you know that there's one thing to look out for, like we did say 988, but in yourself and your person, if you're going through these difficulties where you just feel like you're completely out of yourself, we really do want you to feel like there's help available for you. And again, like 988 is the first step, but if you're not comfortable picking up the phone, hopefully you can tell somebody that you trust, right? And then someone else is watching this and saying like, let's call 988 together, or let's go to Guam Behavioral Health and Wellness Center together, or let's go to your school counselor together, right? Let's go to your priest, together, some form of natural support. It doesn't have to be a formal therapist or counselor. Everyone in our community is part of this, and that's why we really want to put all of these programs and share these resources with the community.
Yeah, you're not trying to corner the market on helping people. Yeah, no, there's a huge network of resources and people and professional, faith-based and everything like that, willing to help at any time, and that's the point.
Right. So I guess for everyone here in the community, like there's a space for everybody to assist and to help and to be knowledgeable and aware and to start those conversations. I do want to direct people also throughout the month on our social media. There are some prompts. They're doing everyday daily prompts for how to start conversations with people. I think yesterday was think about something and ask someone about something that made them smile, and just ways of encouraging conversation and figuring out even though that seems like a safe conversation, like what made you smile recently, that can also bring about some sad thoughts, right?
Well, let's do an exercise if we can right now.
Sure.
I mean, this is a safe space right here.
So
what is something that I can do to today's affirmation or today's lesson, today's practice session?
Right.
What can I say?
Right. Well, I don't remember what today's was. I didn't think I looked at it. I should have seen. But yeah. Hey, Jason. What's something that made you smile recently?
The Olympics.
The Olympics.
Watching Guam out there and watching our flag.
That
gave me a lot of joy.
Really. Now, are there times when you maybe didn't feel joy and maybe you could think about something that made you smile, like the Olympics, or?
Thinking about what we had to go through in COVID, when my mind wanders and when I have to go back to those times, or thinking about friends of mine, thinking about even something as trivial as my class for our 30th reunion didn't get together when we all planned to. Something as ridiculous and seemingly insignificant as that, and that can get me down a little bit.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And
nothing is too silly, right?
No,
because these things compound.
Too silly. Yeah. It is. And COVID, I mean, we can. It seems far away from now. It seems like it was so distanced, but it still seems so like it was yesterday. I can remember the first day of lockdown. When we still talk about it, and I think about oh my gosh, what if that happened again, right? And so how do you kind of harness some of these positive memories and positive things so that you can hold on to those, and those can be part of your toolbox, right, for when you are dealing with challenging moments. And so, thanks for holding on to that. But, as you think about the Olympics, how do you kind of keep track of all these kind of warm fuzzies, right? These things that make you smile, so that when you are having down days, you can kind of bring back those, positive emotions. And remember that while there is a down day, you remember that there were 5 other good days or 5 other positive memories that you had, right, in the past, right? So I think sometimes having those memories in your pocket really helps. And so some of these trainings we actually talk about, especially in Assist, we talk about people oftentimes, and maybe I'm getting too detailed here, but a lot of times when people want to kill themselves or take their lives, they're only seeing an option, right? They're seeing the option to live the way they are right now, and they're seeing the option to die, right? They're not really seeing any kind of change available for them, right? And so if you're able, as that natural support or that helper, to get them to see that there is another option to live for right now, what is that thing that's keeping you alive for right at this moment? And it could be, I don't know if it's the Olympics, but it could be something oh gosh, any kind of future thought, or forward motion, oh my gosh, I remembered that it was really nice to see my daughter smile, and when I woke up this morning, and okay, can we just keep you alive for right now?
And in motivational speaking, they always say, they're find a reason to win.
And that's what we, and it's just that patience and persistence to be able to talk with someone enough and to show that empathy, right? But if there's no one available for that person to who's showing that genuine care and that genuine concern, then they're really going to feel like they're isolated. And so for all those people who are listening, we don't want you to feel alone, right? We don't want you to feel completely isolated in your challenges and your experiences because we want you to know that there is help available.
And you told me once, I remember one of the first interviews you did, is you tell people that you said, no matter what you feel like you're going through, there isn't another person or there's somebody else on the planet right now who feels the exact same way at the moment. So again, you're not alone.
Yeah, you really aren't, even though it feels that way at the moment.
And it is possible to address this and get help.
Yes, it is. So, I mean, that's the message we want to convey, but we also want to make sure that people know that we can start these conversations with each other.
Okay.
You know?
Do we have to register for the training? Because I'm fascinated by this, and I'm absolutely, you had me at hello.
Yes, well, I'll send you the information, but yes, you do. So email us at staff@peaceguam.org to learn more about our trainings and to register. Again, we have a couple different options this month and all the time available, so we can get you started. A couple other things I just wanted to highlight. Penangan, our University of Guam partners, do have their suicide prevention forum, and that's on September 19th at 6 p.m. That is also a free opportunity. We're going to have community members talking about suicide in the community, and they've done this every year, so it's a great space to learn more and to figure out how you can get involved. And so if you're available for that. And then every month we do offer with our partners at Tuma and Game Time, there is a monthly support group that we offer. So it's a safe space again for people to gather who've either lost someone to suicide or have just experienced some sort of difficult moments. It's not a closed group, meaning you can come in as a drop-in, once just this month to check it out to see if it's for you. Bring someone you care about there, just also to see if it's for you. But that's on September 25th at 6:30 p.m. And again, for any of these things, if you would like more information, feel free to email us. Follow us on our socials too to get kind of more up to date.
Okay, I was just about to say that. Thank you as we wrap up now, because social media is very often vilified for being like the source of many people's strength, but it also can be a source of healing, a place to go, a respite that people can go to find help. So what are your social media handles like on Instagram and on YouTube?
Yeah, so on Instagram it's at GBHWC Guam, so at GBHWC Guam, and on YouTube you can subscribe Guam Behavioral Health and Wellness Center. I do want to share that we've been doing, we have those monthly prompts, or the daily prompts for this month, for September. And then we also have videos that we're posting throughout the month of people. Like I said, the first one was with a National Guardsman who shares his story and getting trained. There's a little kind of like a sneak peek reel that's on our Instagram, but you can watch the full video on YouTube. I think it's about 8 minutes, but it's a really powerful story about this gentleman who, is raised on Guam and within this culture that doesn't really talk about suicide, gets trained, and is actually able to use those skills with someone.
Which is the one use case that always comes up, is they say, what if I grew up on Guam and my grandparents raised me Antigua style, or what if I'm a dude and I've got certain expectations, or I can't express myself in certain ways because society won't allow it and everything. That's wonderful.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I do want to also just share that we have a couple more videos coming out which are going to be really powerful, because they're actually conversations with people who've either survived suicide attempts or have actually lost someone to suicide and is now talking about that. So we do want people in the community to kind of recognize that, if they've ever had those experiences, they can maybe, be somewhat inspired by these individuals who have been able to come out and share their stories, real powerful stories about how they've kind of gotten through some difficult times or have had to kind of overcome the grief of someone who they've lost.
Right. It's all about saving our people, everybody. And Dr. KristiAnna Whitman and her wonderful, dedicated, learned staff over at the Guam Behavioral Health and Wellness Center are working really, really hard, not just this month again, but all year round, to really address the very, very real problem of suicide on our island. So, Doc, thanks so much. Always good to see you.
Thank you, KUAM and Jason, for having us as always.